Hey everybody, Brian Von VA here, back at it again with another set of D&D stories, and today we're going to be talking about pet peeves. You know, those little things or just, well, kind of weird things that you can't scratch underneath your skin. Not physically, but more so like, oh, that grinds my gears. Those things where you just look at it and go, why? Just don't do it. So today, let's explore. Players, what's your biggest pet peeve when it comes to DMs? And if you have a pet peeve you'd like to share with us, leave it down in the comments below. Instances like this. I want to search the Foot Locker for pants. Roll investigation. 8. You don't see any pants. So there aren't any pants? You don't see any pants. Well, is the chest empty? I'm looking into the chest with a lit torch. There's no reason I wouldn't see anything. So the chest is empty, right? As far as you can tell. I'd like to check the chest. It's empty. Roll investigation. 24. It's empty. You find a pair of pants. My worst player experiences have all boiled down to the DM allowing the group to get too big and not being able to handle either the ensuing RP chaos or the agonizingly slow pace of combat. Keep the group small enough that you have time and bandwidth to let every character play an actual part in the story. Playing favorites or giving too much time to a single player than the rest of the party. Letting one player's solo actions take up most of the session. Whenever a player says they want their character to go off by themselves, it's fine for a little while, but 2 hours of solo adventure without coming back to the rest of the group gets boring for everyone else at the table. Campaign progress stagnation. Sometimes the path forward for the DM is very clear, but tough for the players to see. Being able to gracefully nudge a party in the right direction without giving away too much is a good, soft skill to have as a DM. This is particularly important with homebrew campaigns, in my opinion. Now, as a little commentary here, there are little things that irk me as a former, not really DM, but more so storyteller, that whenever I had to deal with players that required a heck of a lot of hand-holding, it made me kind of sad because I would write intricate stories and puzzles and all this other stuff, and people would get tripped up by the simplest things, like different color ink on a piece of paper, or how to tell time on an analog clock. Yeah, my mind is perfectly blown. Although I'm generally the DM more than a player, I still want to give my input. DMs who say no to things where there really isn't any reason to restrict the player. What do you mean? Why can't my Eldritch Blast be colored green? Drives me up the wall. I agree. There are definitely things that are annoying, like working against a party instead of with them, saying no too many times, allowing zero room for the rule of cool, nerfing a particular class for no reason. I've had this one happen to me. But the biggest, and I mean the biggest pet peeve I have, is when a DM makes us state little minor things that should be assumed. I'm walking out of the building. Okay, well you hit the door because you didn't say you opened it. Absolutely grinds my gears. Also, that DM must be a very fun person to be around the house with. I am going to the bathroom. I have lifted up the toilet seat lid. Oopsie, I peed my pants because I didn't actually tell anyone that I pulled my pants down or undid the fly. Taking it personally when their monsters and villains lose, even if it's a few lucky rolls and an undignified stun lock. I know that people don't choose what to take personally because emotions are irrational, but it bugs me. Like, did you expect the intrepid heroes to not save the day in the end? Not making your homebrew rules known from the very beginning. I'm currently playing a wizard in a campaign, and the DM has given us stuff on a whim that makes some of my spells completely redundant. Before the battle starts, I'm going to cast Fly on both of you and myself. Oh, you don't need to. You still have a flight speed of 40 feet, silly. Or, nice, I got that succubus's number. Do we have sending stones? I got the sending spell. Yes, you'd all have been given sending stones by your contractor. Being afraid of confrontation. The DM needs to put their foot down sometimes. Not being straight with the players. If there's an issue out of character, don't make obvious excuses. It's not cool to hide the truth from friends if an issue involves them. Straight up refusing to discuss issues with players is also not cool. Avoiding confronting players who disrespect them or the group, it leads to very uncomfortable experiences for everyone. I'm not a fan of confronting people myself, but if I have to do it, I'll do it. If you get outsmarted by your players and they solve your encounter in a way you didn't predict, don't be a little punk and dismiss their efforts and actions and make it not work for reasons. Take it on the chin and congratulate their ingenuity, and be better next time. If you don't, you might end up with bored players who don't want to try cool things anymore because you can't handle it. Hi, I'm dipping in one more time just to say whenever I would do these things, I always rewarded that kind of thing because if you can outsmart me, hey, 10 out of 10. However, I will not and never will allow certain things to fly in a situation, such as if you're level 1 trying to beat the big bad evil guy by punching him in the face, I don't care how high you roll, that ain't happening. In cases like that, I just say, back of the line, or your character's dead. Not asking the full table what they'd like to do when something happens. You see something up ahead. I immediately sprint ahead. Okay, everyone roll initiative. Do we not get to do anything? Yeah, I was under the impression that we're a group. Yes, we are supposed to be a team. What is our choice here? There are other players who didn't even get to react. Take a moment and ask them what their character would like to do. Honestly, in this situation, it's not a DM issue. It's a player issue. The player should know better. And if they keep doing stuff that puts the party in danger, the party should deal with the character accordingly. Preferably by bopping them on the head, repeatedly, until they're dead and can't screw things up for the party anymore. As the narrator, I can't agree with Mr. Commentary on this one. It's both people have an issue here. The DM should be more aware of the situation, and the player's internal group structure should be in character saying, hey, look, yo, buddy, come here, come back here. Bop, no, you're done. Ignoring players when they don't like something or have a problem. Last DM kept making the same dumb joke about my character for way longer than it was funny to me, even after I said I wasn't amused by it anymore. He just did it to make the other players laugh. Bonus, this same DM tried to take credit for the homebrew subclass I put my time and work into before I even knew them. All they did was okay it and offered a few buffs. Keep in mind, they said I, and not we, when they said who made it. When DMs don't describe the environment in a case where I may need some clarification, or say something like, what do you mean? How tall are the buildings? It's a town. Okay, yeah, sure, it's a town. But if I am jumping from rooftop to rooftop in pursuit of a pickpocket, I'd like to know if there are any 2-story, angled roofs, etc. These things may cause an issue. Also, I like details. Are we in a nicer part of town where the houses are 2-story alabaster stone? Or are we in a ramshackle part of town with 1-story wood huts cobbled together skillfully yet lazily? If I ask what the area around me looks like, and past the DM's description, I'd like to get more than just, it's a town. Yeah, because if you jump on the wrong roof, you're going to go right through it. We had a DM with a DMPC who would take nearly all the important inner character revelation moments for himself. PC's dad was discovered to be the big bad evil guy. Have no fear, the DMPC would pull them aside to comfort them about it. The paladin and the necromancer both have a spat over bodies. Don't worry, the DMPC would jump in to talk them both down immediately. Tensions were high after a battle. The DMPC would run off upset, so we'd wind up going after him rather than exploring it ourselves. Truthfully, it was exhausting, and it led to a lot of story railroading. Our PCs rarely got to interact in any sort of meaningful way, because every potentially interesting story beat was taken up by one singular character. Half of us were new to D&D, so I think he was just worried that we would be too nervous or quiet to interact. But he never gave us the breathing room to try. This DM had a response about actually running a DMPC in a better way, so let's have a look at this, shall we? I've got a DMPC in a little side game I'm doing with some of the players from my main game. He's a barbarian, tanky, has a ton of HP, and has some skills that help make up for the holes the PCs have, but he doesn't fill every hole. He is the head of the party, as he was the NPC beforehand that the main group of players really enjoy. He does what he can. He provides a much-needed combat boost, but he's just as likely to die in combat as the PCs. I like him a lot, but I'm also playing all the other NPCs. I'm actually relishing the moment that he dies, as I think it'll help galvanize the party and unite them towards their cause more directly. A good DMPC should enhance the party experience by being involved to some extent. But you're absolutely right that if they're in every single scene or find a way to get involved when they really ought not to, it just takes away from the story being told. With DMPCs, if they have to be there at all, less is more and always will be. For now, I'm content with my DMPC to be the more survivalist guy of the group who swings around a big maul. He doesn't have to be more than his basic role to be effective, and it allows the players more time to shine. Responding with this, in the hopes that some DMs who use DMPCs, they might see this and glean something useful from it. Well, we did see it, good sir, and we appreciate the advice. Games that converge back to the same plot no matter what. We had a DM who thought he was very open because he only controlled the plot at periodic events that needed to happen in order for a certain way for the story to actually progress. Since the big decisions were out of our hands, the little decisions in between felt kind of meaningless, and we felt like spectators. Also, asking for feedback, then getting angry and sulking if it's not positive across the board. Oh, boo-hoo, you don't like everything. Constructive criticism. Making players roll for basic information about their environment. How high is the ceiling in your room? You said it was 20 feet, right? Make a perception check. Sweet baby Jesus, just tell me. I think anybody here can observe a room and say, oh boy, gee golly willikers, that's higher than 20 feet. Yay! I've been having trouble getting myself immersed in games where the DM doesn't really incorporate the characters, their history, or their motivations. They have a plot set up already, and while it's not on the rails per se, it definitely feels disjointed when my character just kind of shows up and has a plot happen at them. I'm a DM. Most of the time, but I gotta say my number one is DMs who do not control their tables. I cannot stand sitting there wanting to play D&D, having taken the time out of my day to do it, only to have the DM sit there silently while half of the party goofs off and talks about completely off-topic things. I came here to play D&D. I don't really want to sit here for 3 hours if we suddenly aren't going to do that. Don't firewall progression behind a puzzle or something else that is a pass-fail condition. Either they get it and move on, or the players are creatively stupid and never make it past it without the DM spoon-feeding or just fudging things. It's one of the things I like about Gumshoe's investigation systems. Clues are never behind a pass-fail firewall. If you get to a location and use that skill that would give you the clue, you get the clue. Interpretation is up to the player. DMs who don't seem to believe positive feedback and are always very worried about their own performance in the position. I know, imposter syndrome, but it's like, dude, you're killing it. All the players are having a blast. We keep telling you so. Allow yourself to bask in the praise and enjoy it. Sometimes people don't know how to take constructive criticism, but more so, some people don't know how to handle actually doing something cool. So, hey, to anybody out there who doesn't, just accept a pat on the back. Trust me, you're doing wonderful. Brian Von Vier here, checking in after the vid. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, ring that bell, and, of course, post a comment down below talking about your pet peeve when it comes to DMs. I'm sure we all have some, so fire them away. We like reading them. I also want to say thank you for always being here, being around, and for the people who are following me as well, the narrator, over on Twitch, Twitter, anywhere else. It helps me grow not only as a content creator, but as a voice actor, a narrator, and a streamer. So thank you very, very much. You can find me in links in the description below. Come say hi. I don't bite, I promise. And I want to piggyback off one thing before I go, and that is, simply put, imposter syndrome is real, and you can't just snap, crackle, pop, and get over it. But I will say this, a lot of us do struggle with actually handling the big wins as much as the big fails. So if someone does say, hey, look, you're doing a great job, you may not believe it right away, but it's all about slowly incorporating the praise into your daily life and not really riding it. A good quote I heard was, it's okay to be happy with your work, but not proud of it, so to speak. Pride always leads to a downfall, whereas being happy with something leaves room for interpretation and room for growth. That said, I just want people to be happy with themselves and to know that, well, no matter what you've heard or had done to you, a little bit of praise ain't never going to hurt you. You're literally getting that praise for a good reason, and y'all deserve it. Love y'all, be safe, be happy, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.